Nung report ko sa House Leader namin, yun ang pag-usapan namin sa PDP, na ang pag-uusapan lang ho natin sa Constitutional Amendment, tatlo lang ho. Tatlo lang. Number one, CONAS, Constituent Assembly, pumayag si Speaker. Pangalawa, economic provisions lang yung pag-uusapan natin. Pumayag si Speaker. We agree on all the conditions that the Senate wants.
Napakaganda po nitong naganap na to. Hindi ko na po itutuloy yung isang hearing ko, yung para sa CONCON, gagawin ko na po ng committee report, yung CONAS, para ano na po natin sa mga mahal nating kapatid sa Senado, iiksi na po ang proseso.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
Senator Robin Padilla has gotten a boost from the lower house over charter change after some convincing House leaders are now reportedly willing to give in to the Senate's demands over charter change.
Economic provisions will be the major focus of the amendments, but Senator Robin says he is looking to pursue political reforms in the charter later on. Mayan Los Baños with the big story.
A crucial breakthrough for charter change. This is what Senator Robin Padilla happily reported on Thursday. This after Congressman Richard Gomez said that the lower house is now amenable to having constituent assembly as the mode for charter change. But that's not all. Late Congressman Gomez was reportedly able to convince the House leadership to a few more demands.
Nung report ko sa House Leader namin, yun ang pag-usapan namin sa PDP, na ang pag-uusapan lang ho natin sa Constitutional Amendment, tatlo lang ho. Tatlo lang. Number one, CONAS, Constituent Assembly, pumayag si Speaker. Okay? Pangalawa, economic provisions lang yung pag-uusapan natin, pumayag si Speaker. Pangatlo, voting separately, pumayag si Speaker. Yan yung stand ng House. So we agree on all the conditions that the Senate wants.
Recall that earlier this month, over 300 representatives voted in favor of Constitutional Convention or CONCON as the mode for amending the charter. Gomez said that the House Committee on Constitutional Amendments Chairman Rufus Rodriguez also had a change of heart and is now willing to support CONAS. But there is still no confirmation on this from the lower house. For now, Senator Padilla will be wrapping up hearings and will go straight to writing a committee report.
Paiksiin na po natin, mag-save na rin po tayo ng kuryente at ng panahon. Napakaganda po nitong naganap na to.
Chacha proponents insist that only economic provisions will be touched, but Padilla hopes to tinker some on the political side later on.
Hindi ako titigil hanggat hindi natin naayos ang political structure ng bansa. Susunod dyan, gusto ko naman regionalization ng mga senador.
But before all that, Padilla needs to secure support from his fellow senators in pushing for charter reforms through CONAS. Reporting for News 5, Mayan Los Baños, we are One News.
While Congress and the Senate debate charter change, the Palace has another urgent concern. This one will greatly diminish its power and influence, but it has nothing to do with changing the Constitution. President Bongbong Marcos says that his administration is thoroughly studying the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, stressing that it's very important to, quote, get it right. Speaking with reporters, the president said that more than the court's ruling on the internal revenue allotment of local government units, lower-class communities would be at a disadvantage if government functions were devolved or delegated to them. But what exactly is the Mandanas-Garcia ruling? The Supreme Court issued the ruling in response to a petition made by Batangas Governor Milando Mandanas and former Governor of Bataan Enrique Garcia Jr., together with other local elected officials in 2013. That decision affirms that LGUs should be given a just share on all national taxes collected and not only from the national internal revenue taxes. Currently, LGUs get their IRA from 40% of national internal revenue taxes collected by the BIR. With the Mandanas ruling, the LGU's IRA is projected to increase by 27%. Then President Rodrigo Duterte issued Executive Order number 138 to support the efficient implementation of the Supreme Court ruling on the Mandanas-Garcia case. The order would strengthen the autonomy and empowerment of local government units, and it directs the full devolution of certain functions of the executive branch to the LGUs. President Marcos, meanwhile, ordered concerned government agencies to look into the said executive order for possible amendments and to determine what national government functions should be devolved to LGUs. The President, however, clarified that the implementation of the Mandanas ruling is not an alternative to any constitutional amendment being pushed in Congress.
Here to share with us his insights on the matter, we have with us live via Zoom former Presidential Advisor for Political Affairs, Ronald Llamas. Good evening. Welcome to The Big Story.
Nakamute pa po yata kayo.
Good evening. Nakamute pa po.
Sorry.
There you go. All right, Sir Ronald. Sir Ronald, first of all, even with the higher tax allocations from the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, the President says some LGUs are actually poorer. After a year in implementation, what exactly did we look over? What are the loopholes that you're seeing now?
Well, noong 2021, gumawa ng executive order si President Duterte na yung tawag nila ay EO 138 na ang layunin in the next 3 years hanggang 2024 ay magkaroon ng full devolution of powers yung mga LGUs. No? Kasabay niyan ay yung Mandanas Law, batas na kasi yun, no? Na ini-increase yung era ng mga LGUs. Halimbawa, last year ay umabot ng 1 trillion yung allotment ng mga LGUs, nag-increase ng 38% from 2021. At next year ay mag-i-increase yung kanilang LGU by 850 billion pesos or mga 24%. No? So depende sa collection ng gobyerno, no? Depende sa taon, ay nag-i-increase yung allotment ng mga LGUs, yung kanilang mga era. No? Pero nagsampa ng kaso si Mandanas at saka si Garcia last year dahil ang tingin nila ay kulang pa ito. No? Kung maalala nyo, several years ago, nag-file din si Mandanas ng kaso sa Supreme Court dahil ang tingin ni Mandanas ay dapat retroactive, no? Ibig sabihin yung mga ibang mga taon na walang naibigay doon sa mga LGU ay dapat ay kolektahin din at ibigay din. Pero nagdesisyon ng Supreme Court na hindi pwede 'yon, no? So nandito tayo ngayon at ang sabi ni Budget Secretary Pangandaman at sabi nung ni dating Undersecretary ng DILG Malay, kailangang baguhin o kailangan i-amend itong Executive Order 138 dahil nga may mga LGUs na hindi pa handa, no? Mga 30%, lalo na yung mga nasa 4th at saka 5th class municipality. At yun yung inulit ni Presidente Bongbong Marcos.
Ronald, obviously President Marcos is saying that with regards to the powers devolved to the LGUs, that has to be considered, as you said, considering capacity of local governments and so on. But given that this is also a Supreme Court ruling, where and what exactly are the rooms or the areas where government, simply with the EO, actually have room to maneuver and actually have room to adjust as they see fit how to implement this ruling?
Tingin ko, Robbie, yung room for maneuver ay hindi ganun kalaki. For the national government, for the president, ang pwede nilang gawin sa sinasabi nilang i-amend ay i-extend yung deadline na dapat ay 2024. Pwede nilang i-extend sa 2025. Paano meron ding political angle ito, Robbie, Gretchen? Dahil kung ibibigay nila lahat ng powers at saka resources before the election in 2025, baka mawalan sila ng influensya sa election sa 2025 sa midterm. No? Kaya yun yung unsaid na political aspect nitong nitong debate sa ngayon, no? Hindi lang usapin yan ng mga handa pa yung mga LGUs dahil meron naman kasing GEF isa tong pondo para dun sa mga hindi pa handa. No? Kaya it's not as simple as that. Tingin ko ay isang element din dito ay yung influence sa mga local officials, lalo na kung parating yung midterm elections.
Pero dun sa konteksto lang ng midterm elections, pwede ba itong ipain forever o one time lang pwedeng ipain to for these elections? In other words, after these elections, assuming na tama ka na ginagamit lang to, and this is something that the national government and politicians can use to dangle above and in front of local politicians, is that a one-time use or does that have any effect at a certain point? Because I imagine this is a matter of when and not if.
Siguro kung nakatira tayo sa Europe, Robbie, pwede. One time lang. Pero huwag natin kalimutan, 1991 pa yung local government code. No? At since 1991, parang very protracted yung pag-implement ng local government code. Kaya nung 2021 ay napilitan yung gobyerno na gumawa ng executive order para magkaroon ng full devolution. Actually, nung 1991 pa lang, ang essence ng local government code is full devolution. Pero naging protracted yung full devolution na yan. Kaya gumawa ng EO 138. No? Tingin ko ay at least yung possibility sa tanong mo, Robbie, ay very real. No? Sinasabi ko nga ay kailangan nila yan, kailangan nilang i-amend yung Executive Order 138 for the midterm election. Pero pagdating ng midterm election, meron ka namang presidential election na baka mas importante sa kanila. Kaya pwede nilang i-extend ng i-extend. Theoretically, legally, ay posible yun. Lalo na sa isang bansang katulad ng Pilipinas na hindi ganun ka-strong yung ating political institutions at yung tinatawag nating rule of law. So, yun lang ang sinasabi ko.
Sir, talk to us a little bit about the GEF, the Growth Equity Fund. How is this determined and what checks and balances can be put on that provision?
Well, medyo broad at saka medyo arbitrary, Gretchen, yung pagpili niya, no? Paano yung national government ang pumipili kung sino ba talaga yung mga hindi pa handa. Siyempre, may kaunti silang criteria dyan, no? Pero for now, yung sinasabi ni Secretary Pangandaman ay halos 500 local government units yung hindi pa daw handa. Pero hindi ganun kaklaro ano yung criteria nila. No? So, isa yan sa kailangan nating linawin. Kalawang kailangan nating linawin ay yung mga specific transition plans ng mga departments na ide-devolve. Dahil nung panahon nung 2021 ay pinagawa lahat ng departments para very specific at very clear kung kailan mangyayari yung tinatawag nilang full implementation ng devolution. No? Kaso, natapos yung gobyerno ni Duterte noong 2022, so parang clean slate uli yung gobyerno ngayon. No? Wala pa ako nakitang transition plan ng mga departamento. Pwedeng meron na, pwedeng ginagawa na, pero isa yon siguro sa gusto natin makita. Ano ba yung transition plan na yan para sa implementation ng full devolution? Dahil very crucial yan eh. Very crucial yan. Huwag niyong kalimutan, yung isang problema natin dito sa ating mga LGUs, yung anti-dynasty law ng ating 87 Constitution na after 36 years hindi pa rin na-implement dahil walang implementing rules. So mahalaga yung mga transition plans na yan, mahalaga yung mga implementing rules na yan dahil baka tumagal na naman ang ilang dekada itong full implementation ng devolution.
Okay. Maraming salamat, former Presidential Advisor for Political Affairs, Ronald Llamas.
After the break, officials from the Philippines and China have begun their two-day bilateral talks amid maritime tensions in the West Philippine Sea. We'll look into this when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. story here on One News. China says the Philippines is among the first nations to benefit from Beijing's promotion of high-quality development and modernization. This was noted by China's Vice Foreign Minister, who is currently in the Philippines for highly anticipated talks on the South China Sea and the nation's overall bilateral relations. Camille Samonte with the report.
The Philippines and China kick off on Thursday their 23rd Foreign Ministry consultations. The highly anticipated talk comes over 2 months since President Bongbong Marcos went on a state visit to Beijing upon the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping, who recently got re-elected. Foreign Affairs Undersecretary for Bilateral Relations and ASEAN Affairs Maria Teresa Lazaro stressed that the meeting provides an important opportunity for Manila and Beijing to further discuss the overall picture of the two countries' relationship beyond maritime issues.
Through these consultations, the foreign ministry consultations, we hope to translate the outcomes of the state visit into concrete and high-impact engagements that are mutually beneficial for our two countries and peoples.
China said it remains committed to promoting high-quality development with neighboring countries such as the Philippines.
We will promote the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation through Chinese modernization and provide new opportunities to the world with our development. And countries in the neighborhood, including the Philippines, will be the first to benefit from such opportunities.
The two also emphasized the importance of discussing countries' differences that are hounding their bilateral relationship.
Their consensus has pointed the direction we need to make efforts in. We need to comprehensively deepen our comprehensive strategic cooperation and enhance our cooperation in various practical areas and properly deal with our differences through friendly consultation. And we need to keep to the general direction of friendly relations between our two countries.
Manila and Beijing will also hold the bilateral consultations on the West Philippine Sea on Friday. For News 5, Camille Samonte, we are One News.
The camp of Negros Oriental 3rd District Representative Arnulfo Teves Jr. is questioning the 60-day suspension imposed on him by the House of Representatives. Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, legal counsel of Congressman Teves, said they want to know why the chamber immediately decided against their client. Topacio said they will wait for an answer from Congress before they decide on their next move, depending also on the decision of Teves himself. Congresswoman Ria Vergara, the vice chairperson of the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges, says that there is a simple answer to that.
The members of the Committee of Ethics and Privileges deemed it just proper to suspend those so that we could properly investigate and also give Congressman Arnie Teves ample time. The longer you stay out of the country, the more difficult you put yourself in these positions. If he has no hand in this crime, then there's no reason for him not to come home.
The Office of the Ombudsman has ordered the suspension of 33 officials over the alleged anomalous purchase of pandemic supplies from Pharmally Pharmaceutical. Ombudsman Samuel Martires has placed under preventive suspension one of their own officials and 32 former and present officials of the Budget and Health Departments pending investigation. Among those suspended was overall Deputy Ombudsman Warren Rex Leong, who formerly served as Procurement Group Director of the DBM's Procurement Service. Former PS-DBM Chief Lloyd Christopher Lau was also included. In the order, Martires said there's overwhelming proof showing that respondents' evidence of guilt is strong. The suspension order stemmed from complaints filed by Senator Risa Ontiveros and former Senator Richard Gordon. Respondents are facing charges for grave misconduct, gross neglect of duty, serious dishonesty, and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of service.
It really feels like a very sweet initial victory, vindication sa iba't ibang stakeholders dito sa ating health sector, and I'm only so glad and very grateful na naging bahagi ang Senate Blue Ribbon Committee sa unang tagumpay na ito.
Telco giant PLDT is ruling out fraud in the issue concerning its 48 billion peso budget overspend. Michelle Gilang with the details.
PLDT says it found no evidence of fraud or bad faith in the 48 billion peso budget overrun case, which came to light last year. It attributed the overrun to overorders of 5G technology between 2019 to 2022. In a press conference Thursday afternoon, the telco giant also said the figure in question has been cut down to 33 billion pesos after negotiations with major vendors.
Our forensic review of the circumstances surrounding the CAPEX expenditure disclosed in the December 16, 2022 is substantially complete and identified no evidence of fraud, bad faith conduct on the part of any employee of the company, and no basis to restate the company's historical financial statements. So our 2022 audited financial statements is unqualified and no restatement.
PLDT Chair Manny Pangilinan also assured shareholders that the financial and operating conditions of PLDT remain strong and that they're not expecting a downgrade of their credit standing.
We're relieved that that is the case, and it's now incumbent upon management and the board to get back on the saddle and move forward and demonstrate that despite this big hump on the road, the financial and operating conditions of the company remain strong.
But the budget overrun did hit PLDT's bottom line. Net income plunged by 60% to 10.49 billion pesos last year, even as total revenues climbed 6% to 205.25 billion pesos. That was driven by strong performances in both its home and enterprise segments. Also, revenues from the fiber business shot up 45% on year to 48.5 billion pesos, with the telco booking 514,000 new subscribers last year. For this year, it's looking to spend between 80 to 85 billion pesos in capex, and CEO Al Panlilio says they're expecting revenue growth in the mid-single digits. Mobile journalist Michelle Gilang, We Are One News.
More stories after the break. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. Classes are suspended in some towns in Masbate following the armed encounter between the military and members of the New People's Army. Videos sent to our news team show students and teachers huddled inside a classroom in Locsoan Elementary School in Placer, Masbate, as gunshots echoed from the encounter yesterday. Just this Monday, a separate clash also disrupted classes in Villahermosa National High School in Kawayan. The Philippine Army said one soldier died from the encounter.
Hindi ka naman makakapagpasabog ng improvised explosive device ng madalian o yung biglaan lang. Ibig sabihin, sinet up mo yan dyan na kung sakaling may dadaan, pwede mo silang pasabugan. Ang hindi nga lang maganda dito ay malapit ito sa komunidad at malapit ito sa eskwelahan.
The Education Department has condemned this terror attack in Masbate, which left students and teachers traumatized. DepEd says it will be up to schools in the area to impose class suspensions. Vice President and DepEd Secretary Sara Duterte is set to visit the affected areas once it is deemed safe.
Responders found 23 holes in the sunken MT Princess Empress, which caused the massive oil spill in Oriental Mindoro. The remotely operated vehicle from Japan found that black oil continuously seeped from some of the sunken tanker's valves. All 8 cargo tanks were found to be leaking, but there are no more leaks found from the fuel service tanks that used to hold petroleum for the ship's own consumption. Authorities are now considering various measures to plug the leaks or pump out the oil by thinning it through a process called hot tapping. Authorities say these measures are more ideal as the option to refloat the oil tanker is no longer possible.
Hindi dapat sapagkat pag-angat ng barko, because of the pressure, the vessel might it's a disaster. It might break. Pwede siyang mabiyak. So kung mabibiyak siya at may laman ang 8 tangke, it will be a disaster to all.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more analysis. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. Ako po si Gretchen Ho. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.